Once upon a time, there was the Model 92, a Beretta pistol that has gone through several iterations before becoming the Model 92 FS. The Beretta 92 is part of a series of semi-automatic pistols designed and manufactured by Beretta of Italy. Designed in 1975, production began in 1976. Used in 36 countries, to include the United States, the Beretta 92 in all its variations became the darling of handguns of the big and little screen in the mid-1980s, as well as into this day. Adopted by the U.S. military in 1985 as the M9 to replace the 1911. This open-slide design pistol ensures smooth feeding of 9mm ammunition from magazines with capacities of 10, 15, 17, 18, 20, 30, and 32 rounds. The Beretta 92 and its variants also became the primary selection for law enforcement agencies worldwide after its introduction, and because of its popularity in movies and TV, it also became the prime selection for many civilians after the Lethal Weapon 1987 and Die Hard 1988 series of movies. The firearms community wanted the Beretta 92 as much as folks wanted to stay out of the water after viewing the movie Jaws, produced in 1974. The iteration of the Model 92 that I am reviewing today is the Model 92 FS. So stay tuned, my children, because I'm going to tell you all about it and what that FS really stands for. The production of the Beretta Model 92, the start of it all, ended in February of 1983. Approximately 7,000 units were of the first step-slide design, and 45,000 were of the second straight-slide type, according to resources. From 1978 to 1982 came the Model 92S, that brought about the slide-mounted combined safety and decocking lever, which replaced the frame-mounted manual thumb safety. The magazine release button remained at the bottom of the grip, as is customary in Europe. Next came the 92SB, a model specifically designed for the U.S. Air Force trials. Added features include a firing pin block, thus the addition of the B to the name, ambidextrous safety levers, 3-dot sights, and a relocated magazine release catch from the bottom of the grip to the lower bottom of the trigger guard. A compact version with a shortened barrel and slide and 13-round magazine capacity, known as the 92SB Compact, was manufactured from 1981 to 1991. The 92F, a model introduced in 1984, was modified for U.S. government testing for acceptance by the U.S. military. The design of all the parts was such to make them 100% interchangeable to simplify maintenance throughout large government organizations. A squared-off front of the trigger guard protected both the gun and the shooter during hand-to-hand combat. The forward base of the grip was recurved to aid in aiming. The bore was hard-chromed to protect it from corrosion and to reduce wear. Brunington, a new surface coating on the slide, provided better corrosion resistance than the previous plain blued finish. The Model 92FS, the current model, or known as the M9 by the U.S. military, has an enlarged hammer pin that fits into a groove on the underside of the slide. This stops the slide from flying off the frame to the rear if it cracks. This was in response to reported defective slides during U.S. military testing. While I have both the Model 92 FS and the M9, let me run through the specifications of the Model 92 FS as it was when purchased. Currently, at least at the time of this review, there are two models of the 92 FS, a 10-round version and a 15-round version. This particular model is the 15-round version, because I live in a state that does not restrict magazine capacity, at least for now. More on magazines later. Having left the U.S. Army in 1977, I missed out on the Beretta 92 FS, or as it became to be known, pistol semi-automatic 9mm M9. The Beretta 92 FS has an eye-catching design that sets it apart from nearly every other handgun out there. While flashy models are available, I prefer the subdued brunette finish of this one that says, "Hold me, caress me, fondle me to your heart's content." Okay, it doesn't really say that to me. This true color says that this is a duty pistol meant for duty, pretty but deadly, and it can't be helped that it happens to look great while being such. The unique slide with the exposed barrel is a Beretta trademark and gives the gun that refined, distinct look. Even today, it sits apart from the current mass of polymer frame striker-fired black guns. The Beretta 92 FS is a big, chunky, full-size pistol designed for duty. The Beretta holds 15 rounds in the standard mag, with magazines going up to 32 rounds. One has to admit that the coolest factor about the Beretta 92 FS and most of their guns ranging from 22 to 40 Smith & Wesson is the open slide that is actually a practical design. The first advantage is the reduction in weight. On a semi-automatic handgun, the weight of the slide moving back and forth causes more felt or perceived recoil. Less slide mass means that less mass is moving around. There is also a simple reduction in how heavy the weapon feels when aimed or carried, of course. The open slide also ensures positive ejection of spent shells. There is a minimal chance for a round to fail to eject. The open slide design also gives more direct access to the chamber in the rare event that there is a failure. The open barrel design does present a risk of burning you because there is nothing between the barrel and your hand, like a slide, but it also cools faster. I've never burned myself with a Beretta, and I doubt many other people have either. Now, let's get into some specifics. The 4.9-inch flat black barrel has enough length so that 9mm rounds can be maximized, as much as a pistol-length barrel can do so. The basic 92 FS, as this is, has no underrail. I like my pistols to be smooth and rail-free. Your mileage may differ, and that's okay. You have your preferences, and I have mine. The front end of the slide is nicely sculpted, with about 3/8 inch of the barrel showing forward of the slide, which sits just above a full-length polymer guide rod. The front sight is a simple white dot unit that is integral with the slide. That white dot seems fairly small, but it is easy to pick up when aiming the pistol. I was tempted to paint that little white dot fluorescent green, but decided against it. Left side slide markings consist of the origin of manufacture, and just below that on the frame is the serial number. The right side frame markings is the model and caliber. Just behind the ejection port, which is about as open as one can get, are forward sloping finely cut serrations that provide an excellent gripping surface to rack or release the slide. Just above the right side serrations is an external extractor that not only rips spent shell casings from the chamber, but also serves as a chamber-loaded indicator, albeit very small in nature. When a round is chambered, a bit of red paint on the top of the extractor tells the operator that the pistol is ready for business. The ambidextrous thumb safety of the Beretta 92 FS is probably one of the most controversial safeties ever. The ambidextrous thumb safety is both a safety and decocker, but that is not the issue. The issue is that the slide-mounted safety, when in the fire up position with the hammer at full cock, then pushed down into the safe position, not only decocks the pistol, but fails to return to the fire position. It must be manually pushed forward to place the pistol in fire mode. With the safety down, the trigger is effectively disconnected. Pushing the safety lever forward and up into the fire position places the pistol in double action mode and allows the trigger to be pulled. In short, the safety operation is not as conventional thumb safeties work. First, the safety must be pushed down to safe, which goes against the grain of conventional safety operation. It must then be pushed forward to allow the pistol to fire, again against conventional safety wisdom. I have learned to decock the pistol by pressing the safety lever down and then pushing it forward without a second thought. The safety lever does move easily into the fire position. There are what is called G-kits on the market that when installed, the safety lever will automatically return to the fire position after decocking the pistol. I have one of those kits for my M9, but have not yet installed it. Another complaint regarding the stock thumb safety arrangement is that if the slide is pushed to the rear, as with an overhand method, the safety lever could be pushed inadvertently into the safe position. I have not had this happen, but I can see how it can happen. The G-kit would also remedy this, as even if the safety was pressed down when pushing the slide to the rear, the safety lever would return to the fire position when the slide was released. As a side note, the original Model 92 had a frame-mounted thumb safety, but later converted to the slide-mounted thumb safety with the 92S. Taurus International, when they began manufacturing the PT92 and PT99, carried on with the original design, a frame-mounted safety. It does appear, though, that Beretta has returned to the frame-mounted safety on some of their models, like the 92 GTS and some 92X models. The 92FS designation identifies a pistol that replaced the 92F. The 92FS has an enlarged hammer pin that fits into a groove on the underside of the slide. The main purpose is to stop the slide from flying off the frame to the rear if it cracks. This was in response to reported defective slides during U.S. military testing, and this change was carried on with the M9. Getting back on topic, the rear sight is a simple 2 white dot unit that allows for windage but not elevation adjustment. Just forward of the rear sight is a small rectangular shaped block. This is the automatic firing pin safety. When the trigger is not pulled completely back, a blocking device secures the firing pin and prevents it from moving forward. even if the weapon should fall from a height and strike the ground muzzle down. In double action mode, this block is raised when the trigger is just about to drop the hammer. In single action mode, you will see this block raised as the trigger is pulled, and only goes back down after the trigger is released and reset. You will also notice the external trigger bar on the right side of the frame. This trigger bar moves forward as the trigger is pressed, regardless of mode, double action or single action. Essentially, it follows the trigger's movement. The hammer spur is small, rounded, and serrated, with just barely enough material to pull rearward to the cock position. The hammer can be cocked when in double action mode, and the safety off. If the safety is on, however, the hammer will not cock. Should, for some reason, you attempt to cock the hammer with the safety on, and your thumb happens to slip off of the hammer block will prevent the gun from discharging. My advice is simply not to attempt cocking the pistol when in double action mode, whether the safety is on or off. Just below that hammer is a nice beaver tail of sorts that keeps the shooting hand from being hammer or slide bitten, which leads me into the grip. The grip is substantial. The 92 FS came with nylon grip panels. These were soon exchanged for a better looking and feeling wood grip panels. The grip frame itself is wide enough to accommodate the double stack magazine and is serrated front and rear for a good purchase by the hand. My shooting hand nestles oh so nicely into the area just below the beaver tail, tucking the web of my hand away from danger while the backstrap massages the palm of the hand. Although the grip is thick, it is relatively short from front to rear, and the fingers of my shooting hand have enough real estate to grip, yet allow adequate material for the sport hand to have something to press into, while allowing the sport hand fingers to fully envelop the shooting hand fingers. To me, the grip is very pleasing, but small hands may have an issue with the girth of the grip. The trigger guard is rounded but squared off at the front to accommodate a sport hand forefinger. However, it is not textured in any way and only provides a slick surface of which to hold. The trigger guard is large enough to house a gloved hand in double action or single action mode. The trigger is a smooth and round affair with enough surface area for the trigger finger to press. Double action pull weight measured 9 pounds, 13.6 ounces with a 5-pull average, while single action trigger pull weight came in at 3 pounds, 9.3 ounces with a 5-pull average. As with most DASA pistol triggers, the heavy and long double action pull transitions to a light single action trigger pull does take some getting used to. This can only be rectified by training a lot with this pistol. In the past, some folks have simply thrown away that first double action shot to get to the single action operation, where the trigger is much easier to pull. The double action pull is long, no doubt, but don't throw that first shot. Do not do that. The first double action shot may be the only chance you get to take down a bad guy. Don't waste it. Now, let's get into those left side controls. The slide lock lever is substantial, serrated, and has enough real estate to press against. The thumb of my shooting hand can reach the lever, but it does take a slight shift in the grip to do so. I find it better to use the thumb of my sport hand to operate it for releasing the slide into battery, or use the left hand to slingshot the slide if need be. Note that when I slingshot the slide, I do use the safety lever to aid in pulling back on the slide. In short, I use as much hand as possible to pull that slide to the rear. Just forward of the slide lock is the slide release lever. One beauty of the Beretta 92 FS is the ease of disassembly and assembly, which I will get into in the maintenance segment. Since the 92 FS does use magazines, there must be a way to capture and release those magazines. That falls to the magazine lock and release button that I consider, while adequate in its operation, lacks substance in the way of size. The magazine lock and release unit itself is substantial. It is the tip of the unit that is small. Finding it is one thing. Pressing it in is another. It does take some thumb strength to push it in even after the pistol has been broken in. It also takes a shift in the grip to do so. The magazine catch and release can, however, be swapped to the right side for left-hand shooters, and that is a plus for lefties. The magazine lock and release unit is very positive in its operation, locking in a magazine firmly without bother until it is time for it to be released. The magazine well is not beveled, but the magazines are. Inserting a magazine into the well can be done very quickly, primarily due to the thickness of the double-stack magazine. The pistol initially came with one magazine, but I was able to acquire both 15-round and 18-round magazines since, and both Beretta and ACMAG magazines have worked without failure. The last feature that I want to talk about is how the 92FS feels in the hand. The 92FS, while heavy in nature and with a long barrel, does seem balanced in the hand, especially when loaded to a full complement of ammunition. Like any long barrel handgun, expectation of being barrel heavy is always at the forefront, but the ergonomics of the pistol, with its nicely formed and sculpted grip area, offsets the length of the barrel, since most of the weight of the pistol is at the rear. The grip, while substantial in width, with thin grips installed, the width should accommodate most hands. The challenge being that the long double-action trigger pull some may find too long, or that the trigger is too far forward to properly place the trigger finger on it. But I talk more about the pros and cons of the 92FS in the final thoughts segment. For now, however, I want to get into the maintenance and take a look-see at those internals. While most maintenance segments of reviews can be passed over without notice, I felt this maintenance segment was necessary, because as you will find out, the Beretta 92 is a slightly different animal from, say, a tilting barrel Glock 1911, Glock, or CZ75. Prior to performing maintenance, always perform a safety check to ensure that the firearm is unloaded and safe. Point the barrel in a safe direction. Press the magazine catch and release button fully in and remove the magazine. Pull or push the slide fully to the rear and lock it into place using the slide stop lever. Completely check the chamber and magazine well to ensure that no live rounds are chambered or in the pistol. Remove all live ammunition from the immediate vicinity. The pistol is now ready to disassemble, at least as far as needed for routine maintenance. The Beretta 92FS, or M9, is easy to field strip, but not as easy as when Jet Li, in the movie Lethal Weapon 4, removed the complete slide from Riggs's pistol, a prop gun that, incidentally, was used by both Bruce Willis and Mel Gibson in their films. While easy to completely field strip, there is a caveat, so let's get started. Since the slide was locked back during the safety check, let's start at that point. Hold the pistol in the weak hand. With the strong hand thumb, press the disassembly latch release button in from the right side of the frame, and using the forefinger, rotate the disassembly latch on the left side of the frame clockwise until it stops. While holding the slide, press the slide lock down and release the slide. Allow the slide to go forward in a controlled manner until spring tension is fully released. Pull the slide assembly forward, completely off of the frame. Press the recoil spring and spring guide forward. the recoil spring will be under spring tension. Lift the spring guide and recoil spring up and away from the pistol, letting the latter's spring tension release slowly. This step is the caveat to removing the barrel from the slide. Press and hold the barrel's locking block plunger to raise the locking block. Remove the barrel assembly straight up and to the rear of the pistol. This is as far as you need to go to perform routine maintenance. Rather than waste your time, and in trying to reduce the duration of this video, I am simply going to refer you to the user manual, where you will find detailed maintenance information regarding cleaning and lubrication. While there are several maintenance videos available for the Beretta 92, and while they are acceptable, I may do a more acceptable video at a later time regarding the total operation and maintenance of the pistol. For now, however, I do want you to see what that 4.9-inch falling block barrel is all about. Here, you can see the locking lug in operation. Upon firing, the pressure developed by combustion gas recoils the slide barrel assembly. After a short run of the slide barrel assembly, the locking block plunger is pressed forward, forcing the locking block to fall and release the slide, letting it recoil while the barrel stops against the frame. The slide, during its rearward movement, extracts and ejects the fired cartridge case and cocks the hammer. Pushed by the recoil spring, the slide then moves forward, force-feeding the next cartridge from the magazine into the chamber, and during this forward slide movement, the frame forces the locking block back into position where the barrel is locked into place. When you press the locking block plunger in for disassembly, the locking block is released from its locked position, thus freeing the barrel for removal. A good inspection point is that part of the frame that pushes the locking block into its locked position, and also the falling locking block itself. So, let's take a look at it from the inside. The locking block consists of 4 parts: the locking block base, that is part of the barrel, the locking block plunger, and a locking block plunger retaining pin. When mounted in the slide, the recoil spring places tension against the guide rod base that is seated in the locking block. The base of the locking block plunger will remain free of the frame wall until recoil begins, at which point the frame forces the locking block plunger forward and the locking block downward, thus freeing it from the slide, at which point the slide is allowed to move to the rear. After extraction, ejection, and chambering takes place, the slide continues to move forward under recoil spring tension. The locking block is forced upward, and the locking block plunger is forced rearward. As you can tell, there are a lot of surfaces and moving parts associated with the locking block's operation. All of the parts and contact surfaces require adequate lubrication to ensure that they operate as friction-free as possible. It is important to know how the locking block system works so that you can determine what to lubricate. Do you now understand how the falling locking block system works in the 92FS? If not, I'll give you a minute. Alright, now that you, hopefully, understand how the falling locking block system works, what say we put the 92FS back together? Assembling the pistol, as with disassembly, comes with a caveat. When the barrel was removed from the slide, the locking block plunger had to be pressed in to raise the locking block. Only then could the barrel be removed. The locking block is free-floating and is prevented from exiting the barrel only by the free-floating locking block plunger, which is pinned in place. First, press the locking block plunger in to raise the locking block. Insert the barrel into the slide from the rear while pressing and holding the locking block plunger to raise the locking block. Set the locking block into place. The locking block may or may not fall into place easy. In the event that it does not, it may take some wiggling of the locking block to get it to fall into place, or you may have to press lightly on the barrel from the top of the slide to get it to clear the slide. When it does fall into place, the barrel is effectively locked into the slide. The barrel will not move unless the locking block is raised. This is one of the key features of the folding locking block. Once the barrel is locked into place, install the guide rod and recoil spring. Insert the front of the guide rod into the opening in the front of the slide and push in. The recoil spring will come under tension during this operation, and care should be taken to prevent the recoil spring and guide rod from exiting. Place the base of the guide rod in the center of the saddle on the locking block. Ensure that everything is centered within the slide. Assemble the slide and frame. Push the slide to the rear and lock it into place with the slide lock. Push the slide release lever counterclockwise and up. The slide and frame are now co-joined. Cycle the slide several times to ensure a smooth operation. Now, we can move on to a function check. Whether you use snap caps or not, I leave totally up to you. I do use snap caps for function checking and dry firing, as they allow me to check for extraction and ejection while protecting the firing pin and firing pin stop under normal conditions. They provide the firing pin something soft to impact and eliminate the chance of firing pin breakage. Install a few snap caps into a magazine. Install the magazine into the pistol, and cycle the slide to chamber the first snap cap. The pistol will now be in single action mode. Place the thumb safety in the down safe position. The hammer decocks and the trigger goes fully forward. The pistol is now in double action mode. Pull the trigger free floats, and the hammer will remain decocked. Push the safety lever forward and up into the fire position. Pull the trigger. The hammer begins the cocking cycle as the trigger is pulled to the rear. When the cocking cycle is completed, the hammer will fall. Fully release the trigger. Push the thumb safety down to the safe position. As before, the trigger will free float. Attempt to cock the hammer. The hammer should not cock. Cycle the slide to extract and eject the first snap cap. Release the slide to chamber the next snap cap. The hammer will fall to the safe position, but again, the trigger will free float, preventing the hammer from cocking. Place the safety lever to the up fire position. Pull the slide slightly to the rear, about 1/4 of an inch will do. Pull the trigger. The trigger should free float. This checks the disconnector operation. Cycle the slide as many times as necessary to extract and eject remaining snap caps. The slide will lock back on an empty magazine. If any function check fails, do not attempt to live fire the pistol. Seek professional help in the form of a competent gunsmith, as you have an unsafe firearm. Well, maintenance was quite a journey. What say we make the journey to the range and find out what the civilian version of the military M9 is really all about. While I have both the Beretta 92 FS and M9, the accuracy between the two isn't a difference. The actual test for either pistol's tactical gun usefulness would be at the shooting range. Beretta ensures consistent performance, shot after shot. Both the 92FS and M9 have exceptional accuracy. Other high-end handguns can only attain this degree of precision with time-consuming and expensive upgrades. Without a doubt, these pistols are extremely accurate right out of the box. With that said, let's pick up on shooting the 92FS with some good Remington range 124 grain FMJ, and I may throw in some defensive ammo just to see how it runs. I'll let you know as I move along with the shooting. For my final thoughts, and to wrap up this review, let me take you through the pros and cons of the Beretta 92 FS. Known for its steadfast reliability, the 92 FS has been extensively tested under diverse conditions, affirming its status as a dependable firearm. Precision engineered, the 92 FS offers commendable accuracy, catering to both professional requirements and recreational pursuits. Crafted from high-grade materials, it stands the test of time, with features like a corrosion-resistant finish and chrome barrel that enhances its durability. The 92 FS boasts a thoughtfully designed grip, ensuring a pleasant and secure hold, accommodating even those with smaller hands. It is equipped with multiple safety mechanisms, including a slide-mounted safety and decocker lever, prioritizing safe handling. And now for the cons. Its substantial frame may not be ideal for all, especially for those seeking a compact option for concealed carry. While the 15-round capacity was once notable, some may find it lacking compared to newer models offering higher capacities in more compact forms. The safety lever's unique placement and operation may require a period of acclimation for some users. The design of the magazine release button could pose challenges during high-pressure situations, potentially affecting quick reloads. The military version of the 92 FS, the M9, officially entered service in 1990 and was scheduled to be replaced under a United States Army program, the Future Handgun System, FHS, which was merged with the SOF Combat Pistol Program to create the Joint Combat Pistol, JCP. The JCP was renamed Combat Pistol, or CP, and the number of pistols to be bought was drastically cut back. On January 19, 2017, it was announced that a customized version of the SIG Sauer P320 had won the United States Army XM-17 Modular Handgun System competition. Full-size model became to be known as the M17, and the carry-size model known as the M18. In my mind, that was a mistake. The selection should have been for the M9A3, an updated version from 2015, and which was later updated in 2021 as the M9A4. Regardless of my personal opinion, the Beretta 92 FS M9 remains as a viable self-defense handgun. Well, my children, it is time to close this fairy tale chapter in the Range Ronin Pistol series. My fondest wish is that you will return for my other gun and gear reviews. Until we see each other again, be vigilant, be armed, and be safe out there.